Hey everyone, very good afternoon. I hope you all are still fresh and alive after your lunchtime. And if somebody is feeling sleepy, so here we are. All right, before we introduce ourselves, because this is Gen Z's time, I'm not going to follow any traditional approach, like introducing myself, here I am, and then getting into the slide. No, let's do it other way around. My slides are straightforward. You all know we are going to talk about ransomware. But let's start with the question, why this particular type of malware is so popular and impactful? Anybody? And trust me, answer is not technical. I need a creative answer why it is so popular. Anybody? All right. So, you can raise your hands if somebody wants to answer. Okay, yeah, please.
Money.
There we go. It's all about money. Money gives you name, money gives you fame. That's the reason ransomware is one of the most popular malware still today. And the second reason is old is gold. It is there in the world since ages, still it is being used, still it is impactful. So there we go. With our presentation, we are going to talk about ransomware. And let us introduce ourselves. I'll pass it on to my fellow friend, Allwell. He'll be introducing who we are, what we do, what is our team all about. Allwell, please.
Hey guys, how are you? I am Allwell. I guess I'll be doing the boring part. Who are we? So we work for PepsiCo. I mean, everyone knows who PepsiCo is. They're a global company in the manufacturing industry. So the drinks, the chips, all of that, that's us. But we, within PepsiCo, we work for what's called a Cyber Fusion Center. And the Cyber Fusion Center is basically, it's our specialized team consisting of different aspects of cybersecurity. So we do have incident response, like myself and Prerna. We have our intelligence team, we have the red team, we have the threat defense team. So it's comprised of different teams that work together to, make sure that PepsiCo is safe. As you can see on the board, those are the 3 locations where our Cyber Fusion Center is located. So we do have a global team. We do have a follow the sun approach. We have a team here in Sydney. We also have a team in Plano, Texas, and a team in Warsaw, Poland. And within these 3, we're able to cover 24/7. So there's always a team available. Next one. Like Prerna mentioned earlier, what we'll be doing today is just talking about ransomware. This is a quick breakdown of what you can expect from today's presentation. I will hand it over to Prerna in a second, and she will just talk to you about introduction to ransomware. She already started with the biggest reason as to why ransomware is as popular as it is today. And I hope you guys enjoy the presentation.
All right, thanks, Allwell. So when we save our company from an attack, generally you get paid off, but we do get the drinks and the chips as well. That's what Pepsi is all about. So, all right, today's agenda, definitely going to give you an introduction about ransomware, what is ransomware, how does it get into the system, everything. Then we will be discussing different stages of ransomware, because generally we discuss about different life cycles of incident and everything, but we'll be talking about the stages of ransomware, then different type of ransomwares, and then we would be talking about what happens when an attack occurs. So this is not only about the ransomware. This session will cover up that what a blue team does when an attack occurs. What are the defense practices that we follow whenever there is an attack? Then we will give you some interesting examples to show you that when actually attack occurred, how much impact was there and how it was handled. Then definitely we will be concluding this session after clearing your doubts and definitely answering your curious minds. Moving on to the introduction now. So ransomware, you must be familiar. This is a type of an attack that involves money, that involves ransom. This is a common fact. We all know about it because its names itself explain it. But ransomware impact you in 2 ways. One is when it get a hold of your system, it either encrypts your data to make it inaccessible, or it locks your system completely that it is not accessible at all. So that's how ransomware works. Just like any other malware, it enters your system through particular, or you can say same scenarios, phishing emails, malicious links, or maybe your softwares are outdated or vulnerable that they were so easy to exploit that malware entered your system. So this is a very generic approach like any other malware. It finds its way to your system. Now here is a catch. We all think ransomware, an attack will occur, you will pay the money, you'll get your data back. No, it's not that simple. It's not that easy. Sometimes, even after an attack, when you pay money, when you do best of your negotiation, still it cannot guarantee that you will get your data back. No, you cannot totally believe that, okay, I paid the money, I'll have my data. No. So there are chances that you may not get your data even after the negotiations. Now the second catch is, if an attacker is from a sanctioned country, we do not pay them any ransom. No matter what it is, but this is a control, this is a setup. We do not pay any ransom to any attacker who is from a sanctioned country. So this is a brief about the ransomware, what it is, how it gets into your system, in what all situation you get your data back when you do not pay the ransomware. Then we come to the life cycle of ransomware, the whole process. Generally, it's a generic thing, but we'll go one by one. Obviously, first is infection. The stage itself is explanatory, that they infect your system. They get into your system. They'll be sending a malicious software that you download or execute on your system so that they can get a hold of your device. So the whole purpose of this stage is to get the hold of the target machine. Once they are into your system, once they compromise it, once they become the master of your device, then they encrypt your data. They try to figure out the most critical files, the files that have the critical, most confidential data. They try to encrypt it. So next stage, after compromising, they do not stop here. They encrypt your data to make it inaccessible, because if you want to access your file, definitely you need a decryption key, or they make your system lock. So if you want to access your system, if you want to access it, you will definitely be giving money or negotiation you will do to get the hold of your system. They exactly make the same expression when they corrupt your files, as you can see. They're very happy when they're able to succeed in that. Once they encrypt the data or make the systems inaccessible, then comes the demand part, the most interesting part. You all may know about it. They'll be asking you the money for the decryption key or making your systems available to you. Then at this point, what you do is, when they make a demand, you do the negotiations. You work on it, how we are going to get the data or maybe the systems back. Everything that we have, how we can get a hold of it. So once you do the negotiations, once the contracts are signed, once you pay the ransom, when they're able to make a luxurious vacation, after that comes the recovery part. When they give your data back to you, they'll be giving this is how we recover our data, we get our files, we get the hold of our system back. So these are the four main stages: infection, after that encryption, demand, and then recovery. This is how a ransomware works. Moving on to the type of ransomware. So ransomware is a big umbrella. We all know about it. It is evolving with the time. As we know that, like long back, there were very few types of malware. Malware was popular, but the thing is, very limited amount of malwares. But as everything is growing up, as the technology is evolving, ransomware and its type evolved too. The very common one, the first one, is crypto ransomware. Files are encrypted. You need to pay money to decrypt them. That's most popular one. You all are aware about it. You know about it. Because ransomware, I think, is something which a non-technical person even can talk about it. Like if you will ask somebody who is not into cybersecurity, who doesn't know anything about hacking, but they must be knowing about ransomware. Because as our friends say, it's all about money. So that's the thing. But crypto, ransomware, the common one. Then there is other type, scareware. They just create tools, they pretend that, oh, your system has some issues. Once you get that, they'll give you an offer that we will fix all your issues on your device. Just pay us money, we will fix your issues. Though your system has no issues, but they'll get the money, they'll get the job done. The thing is, here, they are not behind your data. They don't want your data, they just need money. A certain amount of money, and then they will resolve it. The third one is locker ransomware. As the name itself explanatory, they lock your system. They make it completely unavailable. You cannot access your own device. You may not know, next morning you're returning back to your device, and then you suddenly realize, oh, you just see a note that ransomware attack. This is the difference between locker and the crypto ransomware. The reason is, in crypto, you still have your system, it's just your data is inaccessible. But in case of locker ransomware, your system is totally gone. It is not accessible at all, and you just get a notice that ransomware attack happened on your device. Moving on to the next one is doxware. Here comes the threatening part, or how they create a pressure on a delegation. So they threaten you that whatever information we have taken from your device, from your system, we are going to make it public. We are going to put it on the internet. So they threaten you because the reason they want you to pay money as much as possible and as soon as possible. So this is where they try to threaten you, they try to make your information public. Next one is ransomware as a service. More than an attack, it is a business model. They just tried, let's not do the attack, let's do something other than that. So the ransomware developer, they create certain tools which an attacker uses to carry out a ransomware attack. They will be using these tools, carry out the attack, impact the victim, ask money from them, get the money from victim, and once an attacker is successful to get the money to carry out the attack, the proportion of that ransom is given back to ransomware developers. So this is how they do this business, or this type of an attack is called as ransomware as a service, where they provide you the ransomware, you can go ahead, carry out the attack, get the money, and give a proportion of it back to the ransomware developers. So these are the main types of ransomware. After this, we will be talking about what happens when an attack occurs. So Allwell would be taking the lead from here. Thank you, everyone.
All right, guys. So ransomware is a code. You've been, ransomed. What happens next? Just a show of hands, who's familiar with the incident response life cycle? All right, so there's a couple of people. In incident response, there are steps that you do follow. There are different stages that your incident moves through from start, from infection, all the way down to eradication, all the way down to recovery, and then to lessons learned. Once you have a successful ransomware event in your company, on your system, whatever it is, the first thing is detection. So that normally just means identifying the breach. So you might have an alert come up, you might have someone who has reported the fact that, hey, I can't access anything on my system. Oh, why are my files all locked? Why is there a note on my system asking me for money? There's unusual system behavior, encrypted files, things of the sort. So that's usually the first sign that, okay, maybe there is something off here, there's something going on. And then we come into the next stage, which is containment. What is containment? That's basically just limiting the impacts, right? So it's happened, how do we stop it from going further? How do we stop more damage from happening? How do we keep it limited to, okay, this particular system that it's happened to? So you want to determine the priority, how important is it? How, what does it impact? What does it affect? What systems does it affect? How important are these systems to the business? You also want to isolate that affected system. You want to also notify the relevant security teams within your organization. Once that's been done, you then move over to the investigation stage. So this is the stage where you can now say, okay, we've contained it to this. Let's figure out what's going on here. So you want to analyze the attack vector. How has it come in? So the previous slide, when Prerna was talking about all the different types of ransomware, you want to figure out, okay, if it's crypto ransomware, what do we need to do? What data has been locked? What do they have that we need to work on at the moment? So you want to determine the entry points, determine how they got in, how was your system affected in the first place, malware analysis. So what kind of malware has it been affected with? Like what's going on? Forensic analysis as well. So you do have a forensic team. You want to, go through the forensic process. Again, with your containment process, you have already kept that to one system, more than one system, whatever it is that you have detected it on. And then we then come down to eradication, which is where we want to get rid of the threat. So how do we do that? There's decryption keys. So a lot of time, like if there is decryption keys available through intelligence, your company might know there's patch vulnerabilities. If they've come in through a vulnerability that wasn't previously patched, you want to make sure that those are patched. You want to reset whatever compromised credentials that they may have used to get into your network. Once that's done, we then move over to the recovery stage. The recovery stage, that's where you then want to bring back the uncompromised data. So that's why your backups are very important. Like Prerna mentioned before, paying for ransomware is not advised. There is no guarantee that you're going to get your data back. There is no guarantee that you pay this money and they're going to say, okay, cool, thanks for paying. You don't know who you're paying the money to in the first place. So there's no guarantee that they're going to say, here's your data back. We're not going to do this again. So you want to always make sure that you have backups. You want to make sure that your backups are consistent and they are current. So for the recovery stage, that's where you then start to deploy your backups, verify the integrity of your backups. So you want to make sure that you are restoring to the last known good backup, because there is no point restoring a backup if it's just going to have the same thing that was vulnerable before. Test the functionality and then monitor for infection. Once that's done, we move over to the next stage, which is your post-incident analysis or lessons learned. So in this stage, you want to know what happened, what did we learn from this, how did they come in, how can we prevent this from happening in the future. That's where your incident report comes in. You also want to assess your security gaps as an organization. You want to update your incident response playbook. So what did we do right? What did we do wrong? What could we do better? What is, like if this were to happen again, how can we make this faster? Most importantly, you want to know, how do we stop this from happening again? Again, there is no such thing as a 100% secure system. So if it were to happen again, you want to make sure that you have things running in place to contain that very quickly. All right, we're going to go over a case study of a ransomware case that actually happened and caused a lot of problems in 2017. So I don't know if you've heard about the WannaCry campaign. So it happened around May 2017. And for a lot of organizations, it was a nightmare. So May 2017, WannaCry infected 200,000 plus systems across 150 countries, and they were demanding Bitcoin. The NHS in the UK got affected, FedEx, Nissan got affected. The NHS had to cancel a lot of things on their calendar, a lot of operations, because their systems were all locked out, and there was nothing they could do about that. And that's the hospital. So imagine the damage that did. Lots of companies lost out on millions, even billions of dollars because of this particular system. It affected Australia, even in the public service. A lot of people were trying so hard to make sure that was not a big issue for us. It took a lot of hands on deck for this one. So how did it work? They exploited a Windows SMB vulnerability. So at the time it was called Eternal Blue, and it was leaked. This particular vulnerability was leaked by a hacker group. And how it worked was it spread as a worm through unpatched networks, and it disrupted critical sectors, like I mentioned. So the health service in the UK, FedEx, Nissan, lots of losses. And how this had happened was, again, they found out a vulnerability which a lot of systems hadn't patched. Backstory, Microsoft had actually already, 2 months before that, released patches for that. So this could have been prevented if organizations just consistently updated their environment, consistently patched their systems. However, a lot of people didn't do that for various reasons. People have older systems that they use in their organization. A lot of people are still running XP, and at the time, there were no patches for like XP, so it was more like the more current ones. So what happened when this happened? How did they slow it down at first and then stop it from stop the rest of the spread? It was mitigated by kill switch domain discovery, and that was found by security researchers. So Microsoft did push out emergency patches while this was happening to try to slow it down, and then a researcher found that there was a domain that, so how it works is when WannaCry connects, when WannaCry is deployed on the system, it tries to connect to a random domain that was coded into it, right? The domain doesn't exist. So if it checks that and the domain does not exist, it continues to spread. If the domain does exist, it stops the spread. So this researcher found that and registered that domain. So once they registered it, it slowed the spread. So now there's all these systems that have been, compromised, but at least it's not going any further. And then this is when people started running around and patching their systems, doing everything that we said in the previous slide. So running your backups, like making sure, okay, how did this come in? When did this come in? And why? How can we stop this from happening? In this case, just patch your systems. A takeaway from this, so it exposed the risks of outdated system, poor patch management in enterprise environments, in large companies, in large organizations, which is not something that you do want to be security conscious, right? And again, like I mentioned, despite the patches being available before the attack, if they had been rolled out across all these organizations, this would have not been an issue. However, billions of dollars later, we ended up at this position, and like we saw, many organizations failed to apply these patches in time. So hopefully that was, again, back to the last step of the incident response cycle, lessons learned. That's a lesson learned going forward. So next time, if there's a situation like this, organizations know how to respond. It's part of their incident response playbook. It's, it's something that they have gone through, so fingers crossed doesn't happen again. All right, so how do we prevent it? What are the best practices? Like I mentioned before, backups, maintain regular backups, offline backups, they're essential for data recovery, and it helps you remove the negotiation part, because like we mentioned before, negotiating for ransomware is never a good idea, because your data is in the hands of a complete stranger. You have no idea who these people are, and again, it is a business, it is done for money. So there's nothing stopping someone from taking your money and then coming back next week and doing the same thing again. Patch management. Apply software updates promptly to close exploitable vulnerabilities. So once again, WannaCry, which is just one example, could have been prevented if systems were patched regularly. Email security. Filter phishing attempts, train users to recognize and report suspicious emails. A lot of time, ransomware comes in through a simple phish. It's a simple link, it's a simple click on this link, it's a simple, oh, we're from Microsoft, we're from this, we're from that. It's Australia Post. We see a lot of those ones. And a simple click can lead to your entire system being encrypted. So just email security, being able to have those in place, and also user awareness as well. If the users, who are usually the first and most common way that attackers get into an environment, if they are aware, if they are more aware of these things, you're able to limit it a lot. Access controls as well. Implement strong passwords and multi-factor authentication to secure entry points. MFA is a very important point because, again, a lot of people tend to reuse passwords. A lot of people, I had a similar one of these presentations in the past, and I got everyone to just throw in their personal email into, I don't know, have you guys heard about or heard of Have I Been Pwned, the website? Have you tried it? Have you checked it out? So I got people to just throw their emails in there, and you'd be surprised how many people realize in that moment that they needed to change their passwords because they've used the same passwords for everything. They've been popped so many times, and they had no idea. And also, user training, like I said, so educate staff on threat awareness, human error. Human error remains our primary infection vector. So always make sure that you stay up to date on, the attack vectors. How are these things coming in? What does a phishing email look like? What should I look for when I receive an email that I'm not sure about? And if you're not too sure about it, don't click the link. All right, so I'm gonna go back to Prerna now, and we're just gonna go over like a summary of what we've gone over today. And she'll just talk over that, and then we'll take some questions from you guys as well.
Thanks, Allwell. All right, guys, it's your time to speak up now. Like, you've been listening us for last 15, 20 minutes. I know it's quite boring. I do understand. We were there at some point. So I would like some of you to answer at least 2 key takeaways for what we explained. You just, at least 2. Can anybody, like I need at least 2-3 volunteers who can come up and tell us what are your key takeaways in the things that we have covered so far. Please, guys. Silence is not something that we are looking forward to. Any 2 key takeaways, anybody? Guys, you can't be silent when ransomware happens in your organization. Come on, please.
Oh, I'm just coming front.
Yeah? Or I'll just come. I'll put you.
We should not pay for ransoms. 1, patch on time.
Oh, thank you. All right. Anybody else having different views wants to come? You just can come up. Because you really need to, speak up when ransomware will actually happen, or maybe you have to work on an attack. May not be ransomware, maybe any other malware. All right. So I think you're still away, but I'll just give you a quick summary what we learned today. And with my own experience, I would tell you one thing for sure. No matter what you do, what kind of attack you work on, or maybe whatever field you are a part of, the very important thing in life is to learn the lessons. Because this world may be big enough, may be small enough. You may not every time get a chance to work on every single malware or every single threat that is happening around the world. But you will always have the opportunity to learn maybe from others, to learn from their mistakes, maybe from their lessons, to make sure that whenever you get a time, try to learn the things, maybe not practically, but at least listen to them and try to learn your lessons, because it actually helps in the practical world. It actually really works a lot. So we talk about the ransomware, that it is a persistent threat. What are the ways when we make payment, when we do not pay, as she mentioned, right? Then we talk about the real life example, WannaCry. This was indeed a big ransomware, and it is pretty sure that it will be remembered till ages, because it was carried out in such a way. The impact was way too huge that we could ever imagine. So then we talk about the emerging cybersecurity. You are more ahead than us. World is growing. Technology is all different what it was 10 years, 20 years back. So as we are growing, as technology is evolving, make sure you keep yourself updated with the threats, with the vulnerabilities all around. And that, as an extra tip, I would say, if as a smart technologist, if you know about these things out of curiosity, this will always make you take a place ahead in the race. If you know about the technology, the threats, and the bad things happening all around. Then we talk about that cybersecurity is ever-changing field, and as I said, that to stay ahead, learning is the key. Keep learning. It's not that difficult. If you learn about it, maybe you don't know anything today, but that doesn't guarantee tomorrow you won't be knowing it. Just keep learning. Keep yourself updated. Find out your resources, which you think You can understand the articles, the blogs. It's up to you, whatever way you want to, but keep learning about the emerging trends, why things are happening, why an attack happened, what is the strategy behind it, what was the ways, the old technologies or old method when the attacks were carried out. What's the difference now? How they are, like you can be curious to know how an AI can be used to carry out an attack. This is a whole story, this is a whole theory. You can like talk about it long time. So just be curious, keep yourself updated, keep learning at least 10 minutes a day. If you make yourself that, okay, I am learning something about the emerging trends in the technology, you will be ahead than others. So this is what we learned today. And the lesson would be talk more about the things, talk more about the attack, discuss more, learn more, and you will win this. Lastly, any questions, anybody, it's your platform. Just raise your hand if you have any questions, if you want to ask anything about ransomware or maybe the blue team practices that we follow. It's your chance, please. I guess everybody is so learned here, is it? Please. Sorry, we can't hear you. Thank you.
Thank you. So actually my question was, how effective are honeypots in a network, and how can it be used to suppress the ransomware attacks? Thank you.
To the network and how they are kept.
Do we all know what honeypots are? Anyone? Sorry? Basically, yes. So honeypot is basically what it sounds like, a honeypot. It looks like what the attacker's after, but it's not actually. So it's been set up by the environment, by your company, by yourself, if you have like home labs and things like that, to have, basically, bait, distract the attacker. That way you can extract information and things like that. Are they effective? Yes, they are. With ransomware, from what we tend to see, right? Like I mentioned before, the way ransomware infiltrates an environment, sometimes, for example, phishing emails, things like that, a honeypot, depending on how it's set up, is not always going to, stop ransomware. It's not always going to stop all the different vectors and all the different ways that an attacker can infiltrate your environment. But it is a good way of getting information on your attacker. It is a good way of finding out, where is this coming from? How is this, what's happened? And also, it also mitigates the actual impact, right? So if you've sent them to a honeypot, your systems are fine for now. So yeah, it is effective, but it's not a catch-all. It's not going to stop every ransomware attack that you see. Any other questions?
Anybody, any question?
While you guys are thinking, I do have a question for you. Has anyone experienced a ransomware attack here? Do you have or know anyone who has experienced? Do you know any ransomware attacks that have happened? Do you want to tell us about it?
My grandparents got done by one a couple of years ago on their home laptop. I can't remember exactly whether it was anything to do with WannaCry or anything, but it was basically you just turn it on and it would just say this computer's been taken over, pay us this money to this account or call this number, and then you just couldn't do anything else.
What did they do?
I think they ended up taking it to a repair shop and they just ended up wiping it. It just ended up wiping it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and that's usually what happens when you don't have backups, right? If you don't want to pay for ransom, you kind of end up losing your data. So again, backups are very important. Always, even on your personal computers, make sure you do have regular backups if you have anything that's important on there. And did anyone else say they had an experience with ransomware?
When I was 12, I tried downloading these songs off this dodgy website. I was using my old laptop, and then I clicked the link, and then the whole laptop froze, and then I tried rebooting, and then on the whole screen it said pretty much what he said, something along the lines of this laptop has been locked. Send like Bitcoin or whatever to this address, or you have like 24 hours or something before the thing will reset. So I just ended up like throwing away because it was already like a used cheap laptop, so I didn't care that much.
Yeah. Did you notice any other, I guess, like characteristics? So was it the whole system that was locked, or was it like specific files and things like that?
I could still like go into the actual like computer, but I wouldn't let me like use anything.
Okay, so
like,
you couldn't. And did you notice like changes in the names? Because a lot of time they tend to have like gibberish. They would just put like random. All your file names would be changed.
like
You
yeah,
wouldn't know
yeah,
what file is
exactly.
what.
All my files like looked corrupted pretty much, I guess, and like even the wallpaper, it was like all red and warnings or whatever.
Yeah,
It's very
exactly.
weird.
That's like classic signs of ransomware, right? And they like to use the urgency language. It's always, oh, you have 24 hours. Nothing happens in 24 hours. I mean, don't quote me, because they could. But a lot of the time they want you to like, they want you to hurry. They want you to think that, oh, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. They're trying to force you to make that payment. And again, if you have your backups, you don't really need to fret. If you're aware, if you know what's happening, if you know that, okay, this is ransomware and this is how it works, then you can, calm down and take the necessary steps. But yeah, so like Prerna mentioned before, just stay on top of it. Just be aware. Just, information is key.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. I think that's everything from us. It was great meeting you. And enjoy the rest of the conference.